Hello YouTube, and welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to show you how to do a to-do list app that looks similar to this one. This is the UI UX, the interface. In the initial stage, as you add to-do list item, they will show up in this section right here. If I inspect the application, I can see that let me expand this. As you can see, there is an unordered list, but it's set up, display is set to none. That's why you can't see it. But if I set the display, if I uncheck the display property, now this is what the application should look once you start adding to-do list items. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do, actually let me leave the developers tool open as it is easier to work, and I'm going to head over to Sublime, and I'm going to open a new file, and I'm going to save it inside a folder called to-do list. And I'm going to call my file index.html. Sorry for the sirens in the background. And so I'm going to type HTML, I'm going to press tab, and that is going to give me the basic HTML page. I'm going to, inside the title, I'm going to call it to-do list. And next, I'm going to, since I'm going to use Bootstrap, I'm going to head over to getbootstrap.com, and next I'm going to go over documentation. In documentation, I'm going to, actually it's right here, it says getting started. I'm going to copy the Bootstrap CDN, and I'm going to add it into my project. Right underneath the title tag, I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to save the document. And next I'm going to search for, let me leave this always on top, and then next I'm going to search for forms, and I'm looking for something similar, as I'm only want an input box and a submit button. So I'm going to grab this form right here, and I'm going to modify it, and I'm going to add it inside the body section. I'm going to properly indent it. There we go. And I'm going to open it into my browser. See what it looks like. Let me inspect it. Okay, so as you can see, it takes the whole width of the page. So there are a few things that we need to start doing. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a div with class container. And I'm going to add the form. Actually, I want to also create a div with class row, and I'm going to put my form inside the row. And I'm going to properly indent it. There we go. I'm going to save it, refresh the page, and that looks better. Also, to make it easier on my eyes, I'm going to change the background color to something other than white. So I'm going to say style, and I'm going to press tab, and I'm going to put my style right here. I can always move it to a different file. Of course, the style needs to go inside the head section. There we go. So I'm going to say body, and then I'm going to give it a background color, and let me see, what background color can I give this? Let me select the body, and I think I do with this one. I'm going to save it, refresh, and that's it. Okay, so now I'm going to start eliminating things from my form that I don't actually need. Like, for example, I don't need this whole section right here. I also don't need the label, so I'm going to take that one out too. And I don't need this small section. Let me save and refresh and see what I got. Okay, that looks better. So what I want to do now, I want to add an H1 tag, and I'm going to call this To-Do List, and I'm going to give it a class of text center, and also display 4, or display 1 actually. And let me save that, save it, and yep. So in the body, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a color of white. There we go. And underneath the header, I'm going to use a p tag, and I'm going to say welcome to my to-do list application, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to add some classes to my p tag. For example, I want to make it lead, and I'm going to say text center also. I'm going to save that, refresh, and I can still increase the size of this p tag, of this text, but before I want to work on the input form. For example, I want to, instead of this button being right here, this button needs to go inside the or next to the input field. So I'm going to create right here a span tag, and I'm going to bring my button inside the span tag. Also, I want to add a class to my form, and for example, I want to make a column 8, and I want to center it, so I want to say MX auto. I'm going to save it, refresh the page, and I got the right length. However, I still need to bring this inside or next to the form, next to the input field. So in order to do that, I'm going to change this this class from form group to input group. Save it, refresh, and now I have the submit button next to or inside the same input group. And that's how it looks. So now I'm going to start styling it. I'm going to bring it more to the center of the page, as well as I'm going to give it a background, and I'm going to use a background overlay on top of an image, or on top of a background image, to make it look better. So I'm going to inside inside my style, I'm going to add a rule for my h1 tag, and I'm going to say margin top. I'm going to call it 15 rem, and let's see what the position is right now. So it might be a little bit too far down. Let me say something like 13. Refresh. It's a little bit better. Also, I want to increase the size of this text right here. So I'm going to add a font size rule to my body section of 1.5 rem. Save that, and did not work. Okay, since my p tag has a lead class, I'm going to override the lead class, and I'm going to add a font size of 2 rem. Save it, refresh, and that looks better. I can also bring this instead of display 1 to display 2 for the main title of the application. That looks better. Let me add a margin bottom of 0 pixels. Okay, and it is starting to take form. As you can see, it already looks better. We already managed to add our input field and the title. So next we are going to add the background with the transparent background overlay. So for that, I'm going to use this image that I have, which is an image of Chicago, downtown of Chicago. And I'm going to add it right here in the body section. I'm going to comment this background color, and I'm going to say background image URL, open double quotations, and I'm going to save it. Also, I'm going to say min height 100 VH, and I'm going to save that. Next, I'm going to have background position, which is going to be center. I'm going to say background cover, background size cover, and background repeat, no repeat. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to refresh the page, and I already have my background. Okay, so next we are going to add our overlay transparent background, and for that we are going to add another class right after the body tag. So we're going to say div.hero, and we're going to bring everything inside our body that we previously typed inside the body section. We're going to bring it inside the hero class. We're going to paste it there, and I'm going to indent this section right here. I think that's enough. And so next I'm going to go back into CSS, and I'm going to create a hero CSS rule, and I'm going to create a background color. So I'm going to say RGBA, and the 3 first numbers are going to be the color. So I'm going to say something like 3, 3, and 3, and I'm going to say 0.5. The 4th number is going to be the transparency level that I want for my color. So I'm going to save it, I'm going to refresh it, and I believe I missed a comma here. Okay, and so I can always change the color, but I want the color to take the whole page. So next I'm going to say min height 100 VH and min width 100 VW, and top I'm going to say 0 and bottom 100, and finally I'm going to say position absolute. I'm going to save that. I'm going to refresh the page, and now notice, actually I believe this is bottom 0, and I'm going to refresh the page again. Yes, and so notice how it looks better. I can always change the background overlay, the transparent background overlay, choose a different background, refresh, and yes, it looks a lot better. So now I'm going to do the another list with the list items, and I'm going to set it to display none. So I'm going to put that one right at the end of my form. So the form starts right here, actually starts right here, so I'm going to put it right here. So I'm going to create another row, and I'm going to create another list. And I'm going to add a couple of list items. So I'm going to say for the first one, this is a to-do list item. I'm going to save it. Actually, I'm going to copy a couple times. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to refresh it. And notice they come all the way up here. And that is because I need to give it some of the properties of the form. For example, I need to add a class of column 8. That will be 8 rows in all different sizes, for medium, large, small, and extra small. So, and I'm going to set it to center MX auto, and I'm going to refresh that, and that'll bring it right underneath the form. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the bullets from every single list item. I'm going to go and add another rule. This one is going to be for another list. I'm going to say style none. Not sure if that's style. Actually, it is list style. By the way, you don't have to know all this by memory. You can always go online and search a specific rule. And as you can see, the bullets now were removed. I want to create some sort of separation, give it more margin, and add a border or a line between the input field and the list items down at the bottom. It makes it easier to separate one section of the application from the other one. So I'm going to give it a margin top to the another list to 2 gram, and I'm going to give it also a border top of 2 pixels solid white. Save that, and it's already looking a lot better. So for every list item, I want to also separate them with some sort of border in between or line in between them. Also, I want to add a checkbox on this side right here, so every time a list item gets done, you can check it off and maybe some sort of a strike through denoting that that item is already being completed. So the next step is to create a rule for every single list item, and I'm going to say border bottom 1 pixel solid, and I'm going to make it white, and I'm going to say padding top 0.5 rem and padding bottom also 0.5 rem, and save it. Let's see what I got. Okay, so it's starting to look a lot better. So the only thing missing is to add the checkboxes and set the unordered list to display none. So it is hidden by default. So I'm going to add a checkbox right here inside every single list item. So I'm going to head back into Bootstrap. This time I'm going to Checkbox, search for checkboxes, and this one seems to be okay. I just need the input for that checkbox. I'm going to copy it right here, and I'm going to paste it inside all three list items. Save that, go back into my to-do list, refresh it, and now notice that I have my checkbox here. However, it's pinned to the left, and I want to make it float to the right. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to start styling my checkbox. So I'm going to say input type equals checkbox, and I'm going to say float right, and let me save and refresh that, and nice, now I have it pushed to the right. So next I'm going to give it a height and a width, so I'm going to say height I'm going to set it to 20 pixels, width also to 20 pixels. I'm going to give it a border of 1 pixel solid, and initially I'm going to set it to white. I'm going to save that and refresh it, and looks a lot better. However, it's still, it's not completely centered vertically. And finally, I'm going to set display to none. Actually, it is not here. It is to my unordered list. Refresh the page, and the unordered list is gone, but it is still there. As you can see, it is right here, and if I uncheck that property, it shows. And in the next section we are going to do the JavaScript functionality, in which we adding items to our list, and the list will scroll up and we'll add items, and we're going to make it permanent by using local storage within the browser. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and thanks for watching.